Hey, welcome to the Contractor Sales Academy podcast. I'm Tom, and I'm with Derek and Steve. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Outstanding. Yeah? Outstanding. Awesome. Well, listen, I want to dig right in here today. I know we're talking about something that most people have a hard time with, and that's changing, right? Change is tough, and one of the terms we use in the CSA a lot is you got to be willing to change your grip. And so we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit today. But Steve, you're the one that kind of brought the whole change your grip to our group several years ago. Just kind of give people a background where that came from for you.
So literally in 1993 or 4, long time ago.
Damn, you're old.
I know, but that's okay. I'm wise.
All right.
Also wise ass, which is important too. But you know what? My daddy said, Steve, it doesn't matter what you turn out to be in life. Just be the best you can be at whatever it is. So I decided to be an ass. And so my goal is to be the best ass I could possibly be. So anyways, back in 93, 94, I was playing really good golf. Now, really good golf was starting to consistently shoot in the mid 80s. And I was so pumped that I went to the country club, which I was not a member of. We supplied the lifeguards, so we got a free membership there. And I actually hired a freaking golf pro. And I remember it was $80 an hour. Now, $80 an hour in 93 is like, I don't know, $150 an hour today. So I paid this guy, and the first thing he did was totally make me change the grip of my golf club. Now, if you've ever done this before, played any sport that you have to hold a racket of any kind or a club, and they change you up, you feel goofy at first. It feels like the most uncomfortable thing you've ever done. And I start playing like shit. It's just terrible. I'm fumbling around with this new grip. He said, Steve, stick with it and practice. And lo and behold, I got better. So for all the pain and all the shit I went through and didn't want to change my grip, and I wouldn't have done this by myself. I needed a high dollar coach to kick me in the ass. And that's where I came up with this. So when you and I were talking probably 6 years ago, Tom, I'm like, yeah, you got to change up your whole sales thing. Just like I remember that time I had to change my grip. Really uncomfortable. Don't want to do it. But you know what? It's better for me in the long run.
It's when you say change the grip, it's funny. I think of like throwing a football with your left hand. It's like it's just a mess, and it's just all goofy and all over the place, and it's really uncomfortable. But I know if I stuck with it, and actually in baseball, I could switch hit. And hitting left-handed was a little awkward, but I could always hit it to the opposite field. So it worked out, and I did it more and more, and then imagine that. My batting average came up. So that's kind of how I equate was as baseball or football. Kind of the same thing. It's uncomfortable, but then once you do it long enough, persistence, consistency, yeah, who knew? You get good at it.
Yeah. So why is change so hard? Like, yeah, it's uncomfortable and all that other stuff. Why do we avoid it? What do you guys think?
Hey, Tom.
Like, let's make it specific here to the sales process, right? We're telling guys, hey, change your grip in the sales process. So that you can protect your time, you make more money and all that other stuff, but it's going to require you to change some things. What are some of those things that they might have to change their grip on, and why is it so hard?
Have you ever asked, I'll ask to both of you, have you ever had to crawl back to someone and tell them you're sorry?
Yes.
And could you actually get yourself to do that? I mean, we know people that can't even do that. They can't do that because it's the hardest, because you feel like it's the most humiliating thing that you'll ever have to do. And when all of a sudden someone is asking you to ask a client or a prospect a question that scares the shit out of you because you're scared of the answer, that's the hard part. You don't know the response. You don't know the response. When you open up yourself and say, I'm sorry, it's just like opening up someone and going, well, let me ask you a question. Is my high price a showstopper? Now that's a vulnerable question. And that's what we're asking you to do, because we're afraid of the answer. We're actually afraid they're going to say no. They're going to close the door. They're not going to love us anymore. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good feeling to go, Tom, is this a showstopper for you? That is a ballsy question. And we're scared to ask that. And especially if my whole life, my way of selling is, Tom, let me tell you how great I am, and put myself up on that pedestal because you think
Mm-hmm.
that's what they want. Now you're actually taking yourself not even just off the pedestal, but below the pedestal, going, Tom, is this thing we talked about a deal breaker? I mean, it's pushing the emotional, and that is freaking hard, man.
Yeah, I think one of the other things that stops people from changing their sales process is they try to bite off more than they can chew, and feel like you've got to be able to, eat the whole elephant in one bite, when really it's a series of choices and decisions. Like, the first bite, guys, might be learning how to ask a client, basically say, hey, this is the process we use, and it starts with you sending us a picture. That's the first bite, and you're not going to fully understand, the other steps in the process until you take that first bite. So I want to encourage people that know that they need to change their process. Don't feel like you got to accomplish it all at one time. I mean, Derek, I watched you totally transform over several months, but it all started with you making a commitment to the process and just doing what you knew to do. What is my next best move? And I'm just going to do it one bite at a time instead of trying to understand the whole thing at once. Does that make sense?
It's clear, because it's that same as changing your grip. So I had to get used to asking customers for pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got used to that, then I had to get used to deciphering what I was seeing in that picture. And then I had to adjust to, okay, can I actually give them an accurate price for what I'm looking at? And then I had to adjust to, as we get down into, step 5 of the Shinfu process, consulting, I had to get used to each one of those. But every time I did it, 1 through 5, 1 through 5, 1 through 5, 1 through 5. Now, 5 years later, I'm asking the boldest, most, I don't know, maybe not outlandish, but I'm so used to it. I just immediately just go, yeah, what I'm hearing you say right now is, no matter what I say, I'm not going to get this job. And I'm afraid I might have upset you somewhere in this process. What am I supposed to do now?
Mm-hmm.
I can't expect anyone in step 1 to say that. But now I'm waiting for that person that's a high C and just talking and talking and talking. I'm hoping they run out of breath so I can wait till they just breathe for a second so I can interject and go, we did a project like that for $20,000, and I'll shut up.
Right.
But that takes repetition. Now, does it need to take 5 years? No. You do this in 5 weeks, 5 months, some even 5 days. If you put the consistency in there, get very uncomfortable, changing your grip, hiring a sales pro instead of a golf pro for just a few more bucks than Steve was paying for a golf pro to change his game. And we can teach all that stuff, but it's just repetition. It's what you're willing to put into it. And it's sometimes I get slapped on the arm by my wife if she's listening to stuff like, what are you doing? And the next thing she's like, you're going to get how much money? So, but it's just, yes.
Hey, Derek.
Over and over.
Derek.
Yes, sir.
Just think about it. Anybody listening to us right now, I challenge them. Have they ever said something like that to a prospect? Hey, I'm afraid I just blew the deal, and I don't know what to do about it. I mean, to say that to a client, who would say that?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says that. One time I went up, and I'm going to talk later on the webinar today. I was driving an hour to a job site with a mason of mine. This guy, we've been friends for 40 years, man. He's a very accomplished guy. And I was telling him about all the questions I asked people on the phone. He goes, my God, Steve, I could never ask those questions. I'm like, Joe, why not? He goes, because I'm afraid. I'm
Yep.
afraid they'll hang up. I'm afraid they'll say no. I don't have the guts to ask those questions. And I'm like, you know what? You, God, I hate to say the first time when you were a young teenager and you had to get you were going to get your very first kiss. You remember how freaking nervous you were the very first time? I mean, you probably even chickened out like me. I probably chickened out 5 times in a row before I finally got the nerve to actually kiss a girl. Because the first time you do something like that, it scared. When I did the Shin Fu the first time, I was in a hotel room. I remember clearly, I was at a diving meet, the NC2As, and I was in Austin, Texas, and I was pacing the room, because I had to build up to ask the guy for a yes or no. And if I get out there, I just want to make it a yes or no. I don't want to like dance around the issue and go, let's think it over. And I was, what am I, 62? So I was probably about 56, 57 years old, already successful, already had millions in the bank, nervous, more nervous than the first time I tried to kiss a girl.
Mm.
Really, because I just thought, oh my God, they're going to hang up. They're going to not like me. They're going to say no. But you know what he said? He said, yes. He said, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, it worked.
Now what?
It worked.
Yeah.
You know
now
what? I had to go change my underwear after that one. You know, it was exciting. And I went out there and all I said, you know what, this is my 20 seconds of courage. I said, look, I know I'm telling you the minimum thing I got is $9,000 and you only want to spend 5. So if I get out there and I can convince you that what I'm trying to do in your backyard is worth $9,000, if I can convince you of that, will you pull the trigger for $9,000? That's what I asked him. And he said, yes. And when I went to the yard, he pulled the trigger for $23,000.
Wow.
Went from $5,000. I went from scared shitless. I just had to ask him that. I'm sorry, I don't have anything for $5,000. I got a $9,000 minimum. If I can, will you? And it ended up $23,000. So I think the moral of that story is, us contractors, we will get what we ask for, and it has nothing to do with what they're willing to spend in the first place. It has everything to do with what you have the confidence to ask for and then shut up.
Right.
I know
Well,
many guys selling hundreds of thousands, Derek being one of them, of when he thought he was making a $5 phone call, and it's a $50,000 phone call because he knows the language. All
all right. So we are wired to protect ourselves. We are wired to not be uncomfortable. It's that simple. That's why we avoid change. The root issue is we simply don't want to be exposed. We don't want to be, think about human beings. You don't want to be cold. You don't want to be too hot. You don't want to be hungry. You don't want pain, all that other stuff. But what I want to encourage everybody is that the things we're talking about here in your sales process, everything you want is on the other side of that comfort zone line, right? That we talk about. Everything you want financially and your time back and the life you want for your family is going to require you to be uncomfortable. But just like changing your golf swing, just like, holding a baseball bat a different way or whatever it might be, once you commit to working through that discomfort for a period of time, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with the results that come.
So let me share one nice takeaway that as you're talking about uncomfortableness, because we never want to be uncomfortable. So this can sound daunting. If you just did this, if you're just on the phone with a customer, just ask them just enough questions to understand the scope, simple scope, whether it's windows or plumbing or anything, and just use a simple little word track stating 2 brackets of numbers. And you're going to say, we've done projects like this in the past. Let's say we're installing windows. I don't install windows, but we've done a project like this in the past and it costs $25,000. And just shut up. See what they say. And then If they say that's too high, say, well, we've done a project similar to that in the past with a lower end window for $17,000. You will get a win just from that, and it'll take all of this fear away, because that's just an easy one. You're going to find out if they have money or not. I'm not saying that they're going to say yes and hire you immediately, but you're going to find out where their budget is.
Right.
So I just want to give you that quick win with a budget, and then know the other 5 steps that we go through, or the other 4 steps, that we can teach you that, and you don't have to be, you'll be within a safe group learning this stuff. And then you won't be stealing from your family anymore, because you just found out if they even had the money to spend. Right now, the wife and I are looking at another house. We have a $40,000 budget on the current house we're looking at that we feel like we might need to redo some of the stuff in the kitchen and the bathrooms. We haven't got the house. We need to see if they'll accept our offer. But we know we want to spend 40 grand. If they accept our offer, I've got to hire contractors. I have a $40,000 number. So if I talk to a contractor and they give me bracketed pricing less than 40,000 or 39 or right at 40, I'm willing to hire them because I have the money. So don't think that the customer doesn't have a budget in mind, because they do if you bring up money. So that's getting uncomfortable just talking about money.
Well, remember, one of the things we've talked about before, I don't know if we talked about it in this show, but 6 out of 10 prospects actually want to talk about money on the first interaction with a salesperson. They want to get right to it. They don't want to waste their time either. So if you're uncomfortable with talking about money with people, just understand the majority of people that you're dealing with actually want to talk about money. So that should make it easier too.
I'm surprised at 6 out of 10. Wouldn't everybody want to talk about money?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I gotta challenge that one too. So, question to both of you. No matter if you're selling or you're buying, okay, it doesn't matter which side of the equation you're on. What is going on? What is the top of conversation topic in your head?
It's money.
Both sides of the equation all of the time, no matter what.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw 6 out of 10 as well, Derek, because I know when I'm buying something, I'm in my mind, they're asking me questions and they're making the case for why they're amazing and all this other shit. And the whole time I'm going, wonder what this is going to cost. I bet he's going to be 12 grand for this. I bet it's going to be 10 grand. I bet, we start telling ourselves a story.
For me, I can't even listen to you until you tell me a number. Like, I really can't. No matter what I'm buying, whether it's a phone, a laptop, a car, a house, I can't even hear you unless I have a number. Like, it just doesn't. And I'm definitely high D. But once I hear the number and it's in my realm, I'm like, okay, well, let's shoot the shit now. Let's talk about the options. Cool, I'm good. But until I get a number, I'm just like, you're just doing this. And I want to punch you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I feel like, the disc profile, it doesn't matter where you are in that profile. I think they should have put a money sign in the bullseye in the middle of that thing, because it don't matter where you are. Everybody is thinking about the money.
Yeah, totally. It's when are you not? I mean, even when you go to get fast food, you look at the menu to see what things cost. It's just. I mean, you can pretty much, anybody can roll into a fast food joint and drop $20 and be fine. And maybe I only spend $20, but I still look at the price and I kind of go, It's always money. So,
biggest takeaway you can give people here who know they need to change their grip, might be having a hard time changing the actions that are going to lead to them making more money as a salesperson. What do you guys got?
Well, I'll start, Derek. I'll tell you, I just told a story how I was scared, like little boy scared, 12-year-old, to do that. And the only way I got to do that is because when I do shit like this, I turn around and I teach it. So I think if you're scared to do something like this, you need to turn around and get your ass in a group that does this exact thing and check that out. That is your takeaway. Get with someone who is doing what you want to do and just copy them. And I think Derek knows where that might be.
If you come hang out with me over in the Contractor Sales Academy, the Bridge, challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Come in there, drop $99, come in and challenge me, challenge Tim, challenge Greg, call bullshit. We're not fluffing this stuff up, man. We're teaching other contractors how to get uncomfortable, go through this process, and they quit stealing from their families. They get their time back, and then, yeah, it's real simple. Okay, here's a nice takeaway. Add 30% to the next estimate you give. You'll probably get a yes anyway, so that's a quick takeaway, right? But come hang out with us in the bridge. We'll teach you this stuff. We're not blowing smoke. It's a proven process. It's just human nature. Really what we're doing is teaching you how to shut your mouth and make that person on the other end of the phone that has that invisible sign that says, make me feel important. We teach you how to make people feel important. And when they feel important, they want to give you their money. So how about that?
So let me just jump on top of that, because you say call. I want people to understand that in this group that we have, we're a bunch of contractors doing this. We didn't read some freaking book. We didn't go to some seminar. We didn't hear it somewhere and think this is a great way to sell it to people. We are eating our own cooking. We are doing, all of us run businesses, doing what we're saying to do. And it's proven. And I'll give you one fact. 5 years ago, 25% of the people that I saw gave me a deposit check. 75% of them kicked me out of the yard. 3 years running, I'm at 100% of the time. I go to the yard, I collect a deposit check. That's if I make it out of 2019, it will be 3 full years of never not collecting a deposit check.
Well, proof's in the pudding.
True.
You know, and I think my big takeaway here is if you know you need to change, just develop the habit that you live on the edge of discomfort. You don't have to dive into the deep end every day, but just live the type of life that every day you're a little bit more uncomfortable than you were the day before. And that's going to compound over time.